Today's video is kind of a fun one for me because it is my opportunity to talk about and share information with you all that I don't normally share out publicly or just doesn't come up in conversation. As I am recording this, May of 2025, this is actually the 5-year anniversary of my company, the Pink Bee. And we sent out questions to people who've been following us for a long time saying, this is your opportunity to ask me anything that you want to know about myself, and I would come together and share this. We compiled all the questions that came in. Some of them were deep dive things that I teach inside the top program, so they weren't really appropriate for this fun video. But what we've done is we've pulled out 30 questions that people sent in, and it ranges from personal questions to some about my own journey in business as well. And I'm going to be going through these pretty rapid fire. Now, some are going to require their own separate in-depth video because they were questions that I can't answer really quickly, especially questions that related to business strategy. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Megan Sumrell. I'm the CEO and founder of the Pink Bee, and I am a time management expert for women. I created and founded the top program, Time Management, Organization, and Productivity, which is the #1 time management system for women. So without further ado, to help celebrate here our 5-year birthday bash at the Pink Bee, I am going to jump in and we're going to rapid fire these 30 questions. So first, how did you pick the name, the Pink Bee? Is there a reason pink is your favorite color? Pink is just my favorite color. It always has been. I actually did a whole podcast episode on the naming of the Pink Bee, but I'll give you the very short version here. Number one, pink is my favorite color. And I was very young in my career. I did a lot of speaking at tech conferences. My background was 20 years in the tech space. And one day before going out to give a speech at a tech conference, it was basically all men behind stage with me. I had on a pink blazer and I was asked if I had a different blazer I could wear because they said it was distracting and I would not be taken seriously. I was young at that time and obliged. And so I love bringing the power of femininity in pink, which is why the pink is there. The bee comes from a carryover from a previous software company that I co-founded that has since been shut down. And it was a part of my identity that I just loved. So that is the backstory, the very short backstory of the Pink Bee. Now, you guys all know I love the artist Pink, not because of the name. I just love her music. So question was, what is my favorite song by Pink? It really depends on my mood, but I love the Bleep Perfect. My sisters and I, that's kind of our empowerment theme song for each other. The question came in saying, have my husband and I always lived in Cary, North Carolina? Together, yes. Separately, no. I came from a military background, so I lived lots of places. My husband was actually born in Jersey, grew up in Atlanta, and he moved to this area late 90s. I moved here in 2001 and we ended up meeting here and we've been here together in the greater Raleigh-Cary area. Okay, so more of a business question. How do you get or find companies to be an affiliate for in my business for additional streams of income? So kind of how do I find products that I want to promote and be an affiliate for extra streams of income? Well, it's not something I necessarily proactively search for. It's just if I have a product I love that I'm going to talk about that aligns well with the business here relating to time management, organization, and productivity, I always reach out to see if they have an affiliate program. And if so, I join it. I promote products that don't have an affiliate program. And I think because I take a very real approach to this, I'm not just promoting products to promote them. I only am going to promote products that I'm going to promote regardless. That's why it's been a great kind of additional source of revenue for the business. Okay, what is my favorite childhood birthday party memory? Y'all, my mom was the best birthday party planner. Her theme was always, you give a party, you don't get a party, which as a young child was very annoying. But she created the most epic scavenger hunts around our neighborhoods. And so I just remember like all of us just running around going on epic scavenger hunts. Someone local was saying, wanting to know my go-to hiking for dogs in the general area. I do a lot in my neighborhood just because we have wooded greenway paths, but we also love Umstead and Ravens Rock as well. All right, this is a little bit more intense here. What's one decision or risk I took in business that felt terrifying at the time, but turned out to be a game changer? And kind of tied with that, what's the scariest leap I took to grow my business any point along the journey that I'm glad I did? The scariest leap for me, and I hear it from a lot of other business owners as well, is usually when you start building a business, you're working somewhere else in parallel, right? So I had I was running a software company while also thinking about this. And I also was a leader in a network marketing company, all of which to kind of have like not putting my eggs all in one basket, if you will. So for me, the scariest leap was actually saying, this is it. I am going all in and I'm giving this my single focus without a, backup plan or thing there. And for someone that spent over 20 years in a W-2 corporate job with a set salary and benefits and paid time off and all of that, to step into a space where there wasn't the set paycheck every single month and go all in on it was the scariest thing. But it was also the thing I'm so grateful I did. And I could not have grown the business if my energy and time was having to be split across too many things. So for me, that was definitely the scariest. It was scary for our family. And thankfully, my husband, I just remember him saying, I bet on you. So we kind of took that leap together. What's the most unexpected lesson I've learned about running a business that I wish I had known at the start? So it's not that I didn't know it, I just kind of ignored it. And y'all are going to laugh about this one. It's the importance of setting up systems from day one. Because usually when you start a business, you're a solopreneur. I did everything, right? Anything that happened was done by me. And at the time, even though I knew better because of my corporate background and what I teach, I knew the sooner I start documenting my processes and systems, the easier it will be to grow the business and eventually outsource stuff. But I was also battling a little bit of that imposter syndrome, right? Like, do I waste what? I was like, what if I waste time doing it and the business doesn't grow? Well, that was messing with my mindset too. And so I always tell anyone starting a business, no matter what, from day one, just build little how-tos of everything you do because it's going to support you long-term so much. Okay, if my business was a superhero, what would its superpower be and the one villain it battles most often? Wonder Woman was my fave. I loved Wonder Woman. I loved Linda Carter spinning in the booth and turning into Wonder Woman. So it would be Wonder Woman, and its superpower would be prioritizing ourselves. Our superpower would be knowing that our worth, self-worth, knowing our worth does not come from our productivity. All right. And the villain it would battle most often is negative self-talk and societal expectations. Love that question. Okay. If my business had a theme song, what would it be and why? I sat on this one for a while and I really struggle to come up with one answer because it has evolved as I've evolved and as the business evolves. So I hate that I'm going to do this, but I'm not actually going to answer that because I don't have one single answer. What's one habit or mindset shift that's helped you grow the most as a business owner and as a human? For me, it all comes back to understanding where my worthiness lies. It's not in output. It's not in what others think about me. It's interesting timing because I just finished reading this book by 𝐆𝐔𝐘𝐒, which I love, called Worthy. And it's something that I continue to really focus on with my mindset. Okay, next question. Since you're a planner, what's your family version of the book, Alexander the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day? I loved that book as a kid. If you haven't read it, you may not understand this one, but I thought it was great. My family's version is just trying to get my daughter out the door on time with everything that she needs, that she believes she needs, without it being at the last minute. So it's pretty much my everyday going anywhere with her. Let's see. My question is, in the very beginning of starting the Pink Bee, did I start from scratch trying to find customers, or did I have a large base to start promoting to right away? And how did I market to build my business? We started back in 2020, And I had a so-so social media following from the software company that I had co-founded, but again, not the exact fit there. I just started by showing up live multiple times every week on Facebook. That was back when Facebook was the go-to platform, teaching and providing value and then holding online events. So it started very, very small. The very first time I held a little event and then opened doors to the top program, we sold one. That's it, one. Now, fast forward 5 years later, it's a very different story. But I really started, I had a little bit of a following, but it really was starting from, not that much. Okay, what is my go-to coffee order? At home, I make my own cashew milk. I make a cashew milk latte. If I were to go to a coffee shop, it's usually gonna be a sugar-free vanilla oat milk latte. Would probably be it. What is my worst haircut ever? And she wants to see pics. I couldn't dig up pictures. So here's the thing. As I was born in the 70s, so I had some interesting haircuts, but they were appropriate for their time. I would say mine was the overgrown bowl cut, which if you grew up in the 70s or early 80s as I did, you probably had it too. What is my daily practices that I can't do without? For me, it's the New York Times Games app. There are several games I play every day, and that's how I start my day, and I love it. I do the Wordle, I do strands, I do connections, I do the mini, and I do later in the day the spelling bee. That's what I do when I'm in carpool line pickup. Okay, next question. I have a teenage daughter. I'd like to know how your business accentuates your relationship with your daughter. I love it because it gives me an opportunity for her to see me as something other than just mom. And I am always asking her questions on planning, productivity, organization. I get to see different ways that brains work, especially brains that have ADHD superpowers in them. And it has sparked a lot of interest in her of thinking about what she's really passionate about and if she would ever want to have her own business or not. What is my favorite vacation spot? For me, it needs to include water. I just love water. Water is my everything. Okay, when I was little, what is one thing I did that got me in some serious trouble? I actually didn't get in trouble that much. But when I was really, really little, there was a young gal across the street who was my friend who had long hair that had never been cut, ever. Like down to her rear end, long hair. I'm sure you can see where this is going. And she came over to play, and I got the scissors, and we thought it would be a good idea to give each other haircuts. And I cut off all of her long hair. And she cut my bangs like all the way up to here, that then couldn't really cover that up. And it's not like my parents put me in a lot of trouble, but her family was livid and we were not allowed to play together. How did me and my husband meet? We met online. It's actually a long, pretty funny story. I won't go into it all here, but we did meet through an online dating app. What is on my current watch list? Just last night, my husband and I started watching the series The Landman. And as a family, we are currently watching The Travelers. My daughter loves anything that's related to quantum physics and all that. Somewhat dystopian, but she likes it more when there's science involved. Okay, how do I prepare for the holidays? Decorations, presents, cooking, baking, cleaning. It depends on the holiday, and I actually talk about this a lot in the top program, and I have some other podcast episodes on that. So I'm actually not going to do a deep dive here, but I'm going to give you 2 tips. Number 1, I start way in advance, and number 2, I don't do it all. Ever. Ever. And I have let go of a lot of things that I've always done just because they were traditional. So if it's important to me, I plan way ahead and prep for it. If it's not, then I let others do it instead. Okay, what are my top 10? I'm only going to give a couple. Favorite spiritual and inspirational self-improvement type books. I'm going to mention 2 because I just read them, so they're fresh in my head. First is that book, Worthy. I think it's fantastic. And second, I just finished the book called The Big Leap, and I thought it was phenomenal. Oh, I am going to do a third. Atomic Habits is a must read. Everyone should read it. Okay, when trying to launch a new business, how do you do market research? How do you know if there's a there there? I wanted to bring this up because you also said, how do you distinguish yourself? Is it always necessary? This is more of a business coaching kind of a thing. So I don't really always hesitate to dive in there because I don't label myself as a business coach. I'm always happy to share what I do. For me, with regards to this, I actually taught my top framework to a number of women before I even knew I was going to build a business on this. And I saw the results they had, and they started telling their friends. Today, I conduct quote market research really because I hold monthly live coaching calls with my students. So I'm hearing the questions they're asking. I'm understanding what their current challenges are. I'm hearing where I need to really clarify things that I'm teaching. Okay, what was the silliest thing I've ever done? I I do a lot of silly things. I really do. I don't know why this one came to mind, but it was when my brother-in-law got married and we were having like a big barbecue because I did a very small wedding and then just had kind of a party here locally. And I was doing triathlons a lot at the time. This was, before becoming a mom. And I was challenged to a swimming race fully dressed across a water retention pond. And I'm not one to turn down a challenge. So I said yes, and I won. Let's see. I am sure there were times when you had the overwhelming idea of will this work out came to the forefront. What did you do or think to power you through and decide that yes, starting this business was going to work out? I don't know if it was a no, I mean, and guys, I still get that, right? If you run your own business, believe me, if you have one off day, you're like, oh my gosh, it's not going to work out, right? Or you have 1 month where you don't hit your numbers, it's hard not to go down that spiral. What I do is, and again, you have to have this through time, is I I actually have this little folder on my computer where I save messages that come in from students. I get a lot of emails weekly from people who share with me privately what the top program and what I teach, how it's changed their lives. And if I'm having a rough spot, I open up that folder and I read through them. So please know if you've ever sent me one of those emails, I save them all. And actually, that pink box back there, people mail me stuff. It is full of every note I've gotten in the mail from anyone as well. And so I lean on that and it reminds me that what I'm doing matters and it fuels me through rough times in business because as a business owner, you will have them. Okay, so I love this one. Someone said, silly, but what kind of eyeshadow do you use? I wear very little eyeshadow. My eyes are super deep set. So if I put any dark eyeshadow on, I look like a vampire. But I use eyeshadow from the company called Saint, Seint. And I also have a little kit from Limelight. Both are, I think they're both now affiliate based businesses, but that's what I use. I have very sensitive skin around my eyes, and those are the only ones I can wear that don't cause irritation for me. Okay, someone said, how did my husband get the name lobster? I will often, you may hear me refer to my lobster. My husband and I call each other that. This actually came from his brother. He was the best man in our wedding. And when he gave the speech at our wedding reception, he was a very, very, very funny man. He unfortunately passed away 10 years ago from brain cancer. But when he gave his speech, he said, lobsters are animals that mate for life, which is a true thing. And then I forget the exact wording of it, but at the end, he looked to my husband, his brother, and said, so my best advice for you is to keep your tail out of hot water. And so from that night, we've just always referred to each other as our lobster, since they are animals that mate for life. Got me a little emotional. Okay, 2 more to go. What aspect of the top program was the hardest for me to implement personally? And what did I finally do to make it work? The hardest part of the top program for that I had to break up with was having multiple lists in lots of places, right? Because that's one of the main things I teach. You have to have one central place to go look at that tells you what you're doing and when you're doing it. And it's so easy to all of a sudden be like, oh, let me just grab a Post-it note. Let me just grab this. So I actually got rid of all Post-it notes. They went no longer at my workspace. There was literally nothing for me to write extra lists on. All I had was my top planner and then my digital master backlog. And I think I rid myself of that for a good 3 or 4 months to break the habit of just this one time creating a list. Okay, last one. What do I still struggle with when it comes to organization and productivity? What is my Achilles heel? Procrastination. I still have a habit of procrastinating. I talk about it often. I was a world-class procrastinator and hoarder as a child and actually young adult. And so for me, I still, if I see that there's something that needs to be done and it's not what I want to do in the moment, I will instinctively tell myself I'll do it later. But this is why I teach planning the way I teach it, is because then my weekly plan coaches me through either replanning or realizing there isn't later. And it helps me get the things done, not operating last minute and not procrastinating. But that is still my biggest Achilles heel. So I hope that this was fun for you. I appreciated all of you that took the time to submit questions for us to answer here. A little opportunity to get to know me a little bit better. And I look forward to seeing you all on upcoming trainings and videos right here. Happy 5th birthday to the Pink Bee.